A story of Umar ibn al-Khattab. One night, the most powerful man in the Muslim world discovered that 3 children in his own city were starving. He hadn't been looking for them. He never was. That was the point. The night smelled of rain and burning oil. Umar ibn al-Khattab walked alone through the streets of Medina as he often did, his massive frame wrapped in a simple cloak, his sandals scraping wet stone. He was the Caliph of the Muslim world, commander of armies that had shaken Persia and Egypt, ruler of lands stretching from the deserts of Arabia to the rivers of Mesopotamia. But tonight, as on every night he could manage, he was just a man with a lamp and a conscience, listening to the city breathe. He had been doing this for years. Walking. Watching. Pressing his ear to the silence between houses to hear what it was hiding. He had long believed that a city does not reveal itself in the daylight. In the daylight, people perform their lives. It is only in the dark, when the performances have ended, that a city tells the truth. Tonight, Medina's truth came to him as a sound. It was near the eastern quarter when he heard it. At first he thought it was an animal, a low, keening noise, the kind of thing makes when it has nothing left to give. He stopped and pressed himself against the wall, tilting his head. Then he understood. It was children. More than one. And beneath the crying, the quiet, methodical sound of a woman stirring something in a pot. He knocked. The door opened a crack. A woman, thin as a winter branch, peered out at him. Her eyes moved quickly, assessing, calculating risk the way the poor always do when strangers appear at night. Behind her, 3 small faces emerged from the darkness. Their eyes were enormous in the lamplight, and wet. "Peace be upon you," Umar said softly. She returned the greeting, but did not open the door further. "What is wrong with your children?" She studied him for a long moment. In the shadows, without his guards, without his name, he was nothing but a large old man asking questions in the rain. She seemed to decide something about him, something she could not have explained if asked. "They are hungry," she said. "They have not eaten since yesterday morning." Umar looked past her at the pot on the fire. Steam curled from it in thin white threads. "What is in the pot?" A ghost of a smile crossed her face, the saddest kind, the kind that has forgotten what joy felt like. "Water," she said. "And stones. I am boiling stones so they will think food is coming. So they will stop crying long enough to fall asleep." The sentence hit him like a blow to the chest. He stood in the doorway and let it land. He did not look away from it or soften it in his mind. He made himself feel its full weight. Then, without another word, he turned and walked away into the rain. The woman watched him go and slowly closed the door. She had learned, in the years of her poverty, not to expect anything from strangers in the night. They came. They looked. They left. The world continued its indifference. She went back to her stones. Umar walked fast. Then faster. Then he was moving through the dark streets of Medina at something close to a run, his cloak streaming behind him, his lamp swinging wild arcs of light across the wet stone. He was not a young man. His knees ached. His breath came in hard, ragged pulls. He did not slow down. At the storehouse, he shouldered open the door himself, not wanting to wake the keeper, not wanting to explain, not wanting the delay of explanation. He found what he needed by lamplight: a large sack of flour, a vessel of oil, a cloth bundle of dried dates. He lifted the flour sack onto his own back and straightened under its weight. It was heavy. The kind of heavy that settles into your spine and asks questions about your age. But the thought of those children was heavier. The thought of a mother boiling stones. The thought of 3 small faces waiting in the lamplight for something that would never come, not because the world lacked food, but because no one had carried it to them. That thought weighed more than any sack. He walked back through the rain carrying everything himself. His shoulders burned. He did not put it down. She was still watching the pot when the knock came again. This time, when she opened the door, the man was breathing hard and soaked through to the skin. The sack on his back had left a dark crescent of sweat across his shoulders. He had a container of oil under one arm and dates clutched in his other hand. He looked, she would think later, like a man who had been arguing with himself the entire way back and had finally won the argument. "Cook," he said simply. She stared at him. "Who are you?" "It doesn't matter tonight." "Cook." He moved past her and knelt on the floor of her small house, the Caliph of the Muslim Empire, kneeling on a dirt floor, and blew life into the dying fire. He asked where she kept her water. He worked beside her in silence while the children gathered around them, both uncertainty and hunger fighting for control of their faces. He talked to them while he worked. Small things, the kind of things a grandfather says. He asked the eldest boy his name. He asked the youngest girl if she liked dates and watched her eyes go wide when he put one in her hand, as if he had performed a conjuring trick. The eldest boy, perhaps 8 years old, watched Umar with grave, careful eyes. After a while, he tugged at his sleeve. "Are you a servant of the Caliph?" Umar looked at the boy for a long moment. The fire crackled between them. Outside, the rain tapped its patient fingers against the roof. "Something like that," he said. The boy nodded, apparently satisfied with this. Then, with the perfect, unfiltered seriousness that only children can produce, he said, "Then tell the Caliph that Umar ibn al-Khattab has failed us. He does not know we are hungry. A caliph who does not know his people are hungry has no right to call himself their shepherd." The words fell into the room like stones into still water. The woman looked up sharply. Umar said nothing. He turned back to the fire and watched the bread begin to cook. He stayed as the color returned to their faces. He stayed as the youngest child stopped crying for the first time that evening, then started again briefly, then stopped for good, the particular silence of a child whose body has finally received what it needed. He stayed until all 3 of them had eaten. Until the eldest boy had fallen asleep sitting upright against the wall, his head listing slowly to the side, full for the first time in 2 days. Until the woman's hands had stopped shaking. Only then did he stand to leave. At the door, she touched his arm. She was looking at him differently now, the way people look when a shape they thought they recognized turns out to be something else entirely. "Who are you, truly?" He looked back at the sleeping boy. At the empty pot where the stones still sat at the bottom. At the small, warm, breathing life of a family that had been one night away from something he did not want to name. "I am the one who failed you," he said quietly. and I will not fail you again." He stepped out into the rain. Behind him, the door closed softly. He stood for a moment in the dark street, letting the water run down his face, and made a list in his mind, not of enemies, not of campaigns, not of laws to be drafted or borders to be defended. A list of streets, of quarters, of all the other lamps he had not yet looked behind. He walked back toward the treasury with the step of a man who has been given back his purpose, already calculating what must change, what systems must bend, what administrators must be questioned in the morning, what eyes starting with his own must open wider and stay open. Because this, he had always known, was the only thing a ruler truly owed his people. Not conquest, not glory, not the poetry of power or the architecture of empire. Just this. Just one family eating. Just the right to sleep without hunger. Just the small, unglamorous, endless work of making sure the stones in the pot were never the only thing left. It was, he believed with his whole chest, what he would be asked about. Not the battles. Not the victories. This. Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second Caliph of Islam, was known to walk the streets of Medina at night to personally tend to those in need. This story is rooted in historical tradition and reflects the governing philosophy he expressed openly: "If a dog dies of hunger on the banks of the Euphrates, I fear that Umar will be questioned about it on the day of judgment."